I am fully convinced now that there will always be a vast population of people on the planet and in the United States especially who will remain poor forever. Good morning. Today is June 2nd, 23, sorry. And it's Friday. Hope everybody's having a good morning. Everybody working a job. I hope you're glad that today is the last day of the week for you to work, if that is true. I'm making this video because, as I said in a Facebook Live recently, talking to not just a millionaire, but a triple-digit millionaire, 100 million plus, every day, at least 3 times a day, because we're in a community together. I have been, and I rarely use this word, I've been blessed to be a part of a community of people that contain millionaires and triple-digit millionaires, double-digit millionaires, right? And stuff like that just doesn't just happen, right? I say blessed because some things are of a divine nature and not necessarily designed to bring me money. Although the natural byproduct of it is bringing me financial wealth, it provides me with a perspective that I never had before. I am fully convinced now that there will always be a vast population of people on the planet and in the United States especially who will remain poor forever. Which is unfortunate because you don't have to. There's going to be a vast majority of people in the United States who are going to remain angry, upset, despondent, discouraged, disappointed, and poor. Now, I used to think black people who claim to be that at least, have systematically been programmed to not come together and do anything as a community. We rep our hood, but we don't do anything as a community because a community has nothing to do with geographical borders. But it's not a black thing, y'all. It's not. It's a poor thing. Because at the root of poverty, now this is going to sound weird, but just go with me. At the root of poverty is selfishness. Because when you get to the point where you know you're poor and you're feeling like you're going to stay that way, you become very, very self-absorbed. And you have a tendency to subtract and divide. And when you get a bunch of people together in the same spot, like an apartment complex or something like that, you have all this stuff packed into your apartment like you're hoarding. The apartment next to you may not have as much stuff, so then they break in your house and get your stuff, and then it becomes a cycle. It's vicious. Now, it happens in the white community. You just don't hear about it much. Because poor white people are not at a premium. There's 5 times more poor white people in the United States than there are poor black people, but per capita. So that tells me that the systemic poverty problem is not a ethnic problem. And it's not even a lack of information. There's tons of information. Everybody has the information. And when you see me online talking about certain things and speaking on certain things, but you don't act at all. I mean, not only do you not comment, not only do you not like, on YouTube, not only do you not subscribe, you completely ignore anything referencing changing your financial picture. Especially when it concerns financial education, which leads to financial liberation. Now, I had to ask myself, why is that? Why is it that people don't want to know? Well, it's not that they don't want to know. Nobody has ever said no to me about changing their lives. Nobody has ever said no about making more money. Nobody has ever said no to getting your head right so you can get your bread right. Nobody has ever said no to that. Ever. They've said no to me. So I have to take that personally. In the past, MLMers taught people to, taught people to not take it personally. Well, I've learned to take it personally. Yeah, I've learned to take it personally. Why? Because there's no energetic connection, especially online. Now, I've formed long-lasting relationships with people I've never physically met. They trust me, I trust them. This multimillionaire I talk to every day, I've never physically met him. I don't even know what he looks like. I spent many years of my life working with a single-digit millionaire that I met twice. But for 10 years, I'd never met him, and he lived right here in the Twin Cities. See, I don't have any trust issues. Why? Because I trust myself. If myself says, yes, good person, I go with that until they prove me wrong. And if they prove me wrong, there's nothing wrong with me, there's something wrong with them. Problem is we have trust issues, especially people that look like me. We have trust issues. We don't trust each other. We always look for the scam first. Well, that's self-preservation. No, that's not self-preservation. As you acting on what you saw in the past. I've never been scammed. I've learned that too. I've never been scammed. And I was in a Bitcoin program that cost me $2 million worth of Bitcoin. I was not scammed. I went into it with the right frame of mind and the right focus, but I didn't stay focused, and I didn't stay vigilant, and I didn't stay involved. So the energy that I brought to it drove me away from that money. I wasn't ready for it. I didn't have my head right. So if they'd have given me $200 million worth of Bitcoin, my bread still wouldn't have been right because my head wasn't right. And what I'm finding out is, and I know for a fact, because I know of one individual who I can show as proof, money cannot fix you. There's no amount of money that can fix you. Because let's think about it. At the end of the day, if I gave everybody watching this right now, I gave you $1 billion today, cash money in a bank account that nobody can touch and nobody can tax, you would spend. You can't spend it fast enough. You would spend, 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 spend. You buy this, buy that, buy this, buy that, buy this, buy that, buy this, buy that. Right? At the end of the day, when you've gotten done spending all that money on houses and cars and trips and land and buying politicians and buying Supreme Court justices, when you get done buying all that stuff, you're still going to be sitting in a room saying, what do I really have? Because my dad used to say at every funeral I ever saw him officiate, I've never seen a hearse pulling a U-Haul. So what does that mean? That means you can't take any of that stuff with you. The only thing that you can take with you is your relationships. And that's the only thing that's left behind. Think that through. So what I'm learning is how to foster real relationships. I know people that's been living in the same house with somebody for 25 years and don't trust them. Because they don't trust themselves. They don't trust themselves to be vulnerable. I am not rich. I'm not wealthy. Because I know what both of those words mean. Now, I'm not poor, but I'm broke as hell. Right now, I'm broke as hell. One of my brothers used to say all the time about Prince, he never stood naked before God. It's true. He didn't. Everything you saw when it came to Prince was a show. It was a facade. Even when we were hanging out with him and there was no lights on, right? No cameras. It was a show. He never showed anybody who he was. He was never vulnerable, ever. I never saw him cry. I was around him 1,000 times. I can't really say I ever saw him angry, where he showed anger. Laughed all the time. But a lot of times he was laughing at somebody's expense. That's a mind that needed to be worked on. And why? Because he needed love, but he got fame. Then he never got love from then on out. And everybody who tried to show him love, he did everything he could to show you that he didn't deserve it. What can money do for that? Nothing. So guys, going forward, you don't have to worry about hearing from me about what I'm doing or how I'm making money or how much money I'm making. Zen YGE is what it is now. The financial community that I'm a part of, the DeFi private banking community that I'm a part of right now, it's going to make me millions of dollars. But that's not going to be something I'm talking about. The only thing I want to talk about is how are you doing? What's going on in your life? If you want to know what I'm doing, you can ask. But don't ask for information. Ask for relation. Because if I'm going to do anything with anybody else, it's going to be based on our relationship and the trust factor involved in that relationship. That's what it is. I no longer use terms like minus, subtract, division, divide, addition, and multiplication. And then I'm going to use that addition and that multiplication to create leverage. Because leverage is the ninth wonder of the world. Compound leverage, exponential leverage, geometric leverage. That's where I am. So Memorial Day was me memorializing the old me. May he rest in peace. Hopefully you can get there yourself. That's it. There's always imparting.